Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales is a brand new film in the long line of Pirates of the Caribbean films, and this is set to be a start of a new trilogy involving the Poseidon Trident, and returns to the cast of Johnny Depp, as well as introducing a brand new cast of characters that may or may not get your fancy. But what's the plot of the story? So the plot of the story is Captain Salazar, a ghost of Johnny Depp's past, is back from the dead, and he wants Jack killed. But the only way to break the curse and to get him away from, Salazar, to get Jack away from Salazar, is to find the Trident of Poseidon. Now, along the way, there is one character who has a lineage to some other character, and he thinks that if he finds this trident, they will break that curse as well. So they're on the run to try to find the Trident of Poseidon. I went into this film in the IMAX 3D showing. Not a lot of people went into that one, obviously, because of the high ticket prices. And I have to say, from a 3D standpoint, it's beautiful to look at, although not as good as Guardians of the Galaxy was with its 3D. But the main thing I want to say about this film, the biggest positive I could give about this film, is that visually it looks really cool. There's a lot of stuff they do with the ghosts and the ships and whatnot that are really, really just beautiful. And some of the actors are pretty good in this one. Johnny Depp returns as Captain Jack Sparrow, and he again does Captain Jack Sparrow, and nothing new comes to that character. There's no sort of character arc for this character. Jeffrey Rush comes back, and every time I see Jeffrey Rush, he's a standout in the entire film, and he is the same thing again in this film. He's a standout, and that's pretty much all I have to say that's really positive about this film. The one thing that I have to say as a really big negative about this one is that the script feels like there's multiple things going on that clash with each other. Like, you have a woman of science, but yet there's a bunch of ghosts and a bunch of supernatural shit going on, and she still believes in science for some reason. I don't get it. You have this mesh of all this stuff going on. I'm pretty sure there would have been women of science at that time and men of science at that time, but I just feel that type of character was out of place in a world that's full of fantasy and all this other stuff. I felt like her character just didn't really mesh well. And besides the fact, there is a spoiler that pertains to her lineage, so I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But I do have to say that she really doesn't resemble anything of her lineage. And if you go see the movie, you'll quickly figure out who I'm talking about. As far as the effects go, they're pretty good. Definitely. There's one CGI character that was like, okay, why did we need that one? It made no sense to have that character, but whatever. And there are certain characters in this one that are wanting them to not find the Trident of Poseidon, which made no sense. Go figure. Now, again, this all comes down to the script. The script is where it kind of falters, and it's mostly due to the comedy. The comedy of this one can be a bit off, and some of the jokes, they kind of like do this sort of like deadpan thing, where like you have this one character do something and then cut to another shot, and there's a bunch of people standing in the square just staring at him. Nothing interesting right there. It's just like, oh, they're silent because they don't know what to say, so we must laugh. Ha 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 ha. That wasn't really that funny. But let's go through the movie here. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will talk about the things that we saw in the trailer. So one thing is that the heist scene with with the safe is actually kind of an interesting opening sequence, if not a little bit too over the top, because it just felt a little bit unrealistic in a way. You'll kind of see it in the trailer, but I just felt it was a little bit unrealistic. If it is fun, it's a fun sequence, but I just felt it was a little bit over the top with what they were doing with the heist at the beginning of the film. The execution scene, there's a part of the movie where like a couple characters it's still in the same place as the heist, and they're going to and they're going to get executed, and there's one particular scene with a guillotine that actually was a pretty effective scene in this one. I'm not going to spoil anything about it, but it's actually a really cool and effective way to get the audience to scream. And I just kept thinking to myself, what if that was a ride at Disney World? I mean, granted, no one would ever do it, but I'm just saying. One thing, too, with the script is that the villain seems a bit one-note. Like, all he wants to do is kill pirates, but there's nothing deeper than that. You know, what really caused him to go out and kill pirates? You know, I mean, granted, he does explain his backstory just a bit when he meets up with Barbossa, but other than that, I really didn't find much else of a motivation other than rage, and it's not really much deep in that. And again, Salazar kind of looks really cool. I always like the little hair movements and whatnot that make him like a ghost. That's a pretty cool effect, if not a little bit cheesy. It may sound like I'm taking a while to really formulate my thoughts, because it's like 9:00 in the morning when I'm recording this. I probably should have recorded it later, but overall, I do there is one character. There is one character that I felt was a little bit of annoying. There's one character, the scientist girl, the one in the dress and whatnot. She gets annoying, and it's not the character herself, but there's certain things that they talk to with that character that keep getting reoccurred, or that is reoccurring throughout the entire film. And it gets annoying. It gets really annoying with that character. Other than that, this film is kind of passable. Aside from some good music, some good editing, some really good visual effects, this one kind of feels middle of the road, where I want to love this movie, but there's also some things that really didn't entice me all that much. It just kind of feels middle of the road and kind of decent. Like, it's one of those films that you might just put on a Saturday night and just like kind of turn your brain off to, because there's really nothing really much to absorb except the end credit scene. Make sure you stay till the end credit scene, because that scene is actually kind of decent. It's really good. It's a good sequence. I would have liked for that sequence, though, to be at the end of the film, not at the end of the credits, because that would have helped a little bit more, because there are people that do leave at the start of the credits, and people don't stay till the end. So that probably should have been at the end of the movie. But that's just my thoughts on it. And it does kind of lend itself to a new trilogy involving a particular character that comes back from the dead. And I'm not going to talk about who in this review, and I'm not going to make a separate video about it. Nope. You're going to have to go watch it. Now, would I suggest going to see it in IMAX 3D? Well, obviously not. It's a passable movie, so why would you spend $17 on an IMAX 3D ticket? I'd say it would be more of a Friday night film or a matinee. That's the type of film it is. It's just kind of passable. Don't waste too much money on this one.
In general, you did very well. However, I was disappointed in the margins.
Oh, this is it. C plus. Oh no, it can't be.
C plus?
C plus! C
I was surrounded by happier kids who were all going to get what they wanted for Christmas.
56.
So thank you guys so much for watching Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Man Tell No Tales review. What did you think about it? Leave your comments down in the comment section down below. And, yeah. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.